Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jon Myer Podcast. Now, we got a special episode. I'm really stoked for this. Our next guest is Holdyn Barder, who's an upcoming and awesome country artist and songwriter. We're going to be talking about Holdyn, his stories behind the songs, a journey to Nashville, and also his Philly songs. And before we get to any of that, let's bring Holdyn to the show. Holdyn, thank you so much.
What's going on? Go Birds, John.
Dude, we're both decked out. We're going to get to that. I will disclose to everybody that you're an awesome dude, because I reached out to you. I saw your song on Instagram and I was like, go Birds. I was like, dude, did he really, man, this is awesome. And I was like, you got to be on the show. And to my surprise, you responded back like, yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely, man. Hey, any opportunity to meet awesome Eagles fans such as yourself is a win for me. So
We'll keep that in the win column at 5-2. Before we get to any of that, Holdyn, you were born in Texas. We won't, as an Eagles fan, put that against you, but your hometown is Philly. How did that happen?
absolutely, yeah. So my whole family's from Northeast Philly. So my grandpa, my great grandparents, they all grew up in Holmesburg on Welsh Road, Frankfurt Ave, right by Father Judge. So my whole family is from Northeast. I just happen to be down. Well, I was born in Texas, but my parents happened to be in Houston for business reasons. They lived down there for I think 2 years or so, and that's where I just happened to pop out. So I guess I get a little of the country from being from Texas, but then after I was like 2 or 3, they all moved back to Philly. Well, just my mom and dad. Everybody else was still in Philly. And then so that's like the little bit of Texas I remember. I barely remember it. I went back for the ACMs this year, which were great, but that was in Dallas, so we have a lot to talk about. But eh, I'm originally, my whole family's from the greater Philadelphia area, so.
Yeah, it's hard for us Eagles fans to mention the word Dallas in any type of context. We've got a little against it. We won't hold the 2 years against you because it seems like Philly's in your blood. It's your hometown. We're going to talk about some of the songs that you've written for Philly and everything. But I got a quick question. So obviously I'm on LinkedIn and I'm searching LinkedIn. And first of all, your career history shows intern, and then shows marketing and like sales, and now a songwriter. What's the progression there?
Yeah, well, that's so funny because so I guess I should pull that down because my LinkedIn is well, maybe I'll keep it up. But my LinkedIn is it's my LinkedIn that I used when I was a student and was looking for, standard 9 to 5 music industry jobs that weren't being an artist. And so for me, my whole journey, so we'll get into how it all started. But to summarize briefly, I was a student at Lafayette College in Easton for 2 years. I was a physics major. Decided that maybe that wasn't the best route. I love physics though. Went to economics thinking that'd be better because they didn't have a business program, and that was worse than physics. So I was like, man, let's move to Nashville. I started coming to Nashville for songwriting, and after about 8 or so trips, once the end of my sophomore year hit at Lafayette, it was pretty clear to me to transfer to Belmont University here in Nashville, where I finished my 2 years. So while I was enrolled at Belmont, I interned in operations with Smacko. His name's Smacko, my old boss, Sean Macko, over Big Machine Label Group, which, of course, is a very one of the most successful independent labels in the world. And so that was a huge eye-opening experience for me, and that was right when COVID was about to happen. So that was the January heading into COVID 2020, and so the internship got cut off in March, but we resumed virtually. But that was when the whole world shut down. So I kind of, I had 2 more semesters left of undergrad, and so I was like, you know what? uh, let's just finish this online and tough it out and do it. And because we had to, the classes at Belmont. And then once I graduated, I went full throttle into music. The marketing side of it comes in. So when I was a student, I hired this marketing agency to help with my first couple songs, to promote them, run ads, etc. And they ended up, Tim Gray dear friend of mine, uh, huge champion of me and my music. He said, "Hey man, why don't I hire you? I've already trained you as a client on how to post, engage with fans, and do that. Why don't I hire you? You work for me, you gain the experience, you get paid doing it, and voila." And so I ended up doing that for almost a year, and then I hit a point where I was ready to go full in the deep end with my own music. But that was a huge experience as well. So I built up a lot of different business ended roles prior to doing the music path, and that's been such an important. I wouldn't trade that for anything. That's been a huge eye-opening experiences for me. Without those, I definitely wouldn't have been successful or have seen the success that I've had so far, or if there is any. But it's been a great journey so far, and but man, I'm ready to just run through a brick wall this year. It's
You seem to be on pace to running through the brick wall now, which is really coincidence. You and I talked offline before, and you just mentioned you went to Lafayette. Well, that's in my hometown of Easton, and it's right down the
right.
road. So it is a very small world. You went to where I grew up, and I'm still right next door. I'm in the Lehigh Valley, so the Great Allentown Fair. I know that your first concert was Toby Keith, which rest his soul. The guy, I loved his music. First time I ever saw him was the Great Allentown Fair.
Oh, what a legend! I saw him in Camden at Susquehanna Bank Center back when it was that, and that man, that was a huge concert for me because that was right around 9/11, right? So
Yep.
Toby really blew up. All his patriotic songs blew up around that time for obvious reasons, and that was his one tour. I think it was Pull My Chain tour. I don't know what tour it was, but that was cool. That was in Camden, but it may have been the same tour you may have seen him on. I remember when I was a student, my freshman year at Lafayette, my mom and I went to Sugarland at the Allentown Fair,
Yep.
and I don't know if it was the fair or if it was just because sometimes they have concerts just as concerts. So I don't
Yep.
know, but it was in the fall, so it may have been. Uh, but yeah, it was Sugarland, and I love Jennifer Nettles and Christian, but they're just so good. But my whole time at Lafayette was incredible. I loved it. I love the Lehigh Valley. My friend Tom lives in Stroudsburg, and I go up there sometimes still to go right. And I met him at Lafayette, and so I'm only an hour and a half away in Bucks County, so it's not too far of a drive. But I love
No,
love it up there. I miss it.
that's straight up the turnpike. Holden, how did you get into writing songs and performing country? Was that always like something that you just like a plan, or you just had a feeling for it and you're just, man, I'm just going to write, and I've been singing that, locally, and then all of a sudden, this is something you've got to do?
Well, yeah, I think the biggest way I could answer that is like I've always loved music, right? And my love for music has always been there. I ever since growing up in Houston, as a 2 year old, and I grew up in Philly, but even from when I was in the backseat of my mom's car, I would sing along to George Strait and Brooks and Dunn, and her favorite song then was My Maria, and I would always sing My Maria, that whatever that note is, and I just always loved country music from a very young age. I loved all music, and when I grew up, going to school, I kind of veered away from country a little bit, but I always loved music. I listened to mainly top 20, and whatever my mom was playing. We all used to box all the time, so we'd have a lot of workout music going on, and some hip hop, and it was a very eclectic mix of music. I love CCM. I love like classical. I love Latin music. I love it all. And so, music to me, like I've always been someone who's wanted to do something for society, right? Like I want to be huge and make my impact huge on whoever I can touch. And I think music is the one language we all kind of understand, and I think that music is something that brings us together, and especially in times like this week, and it's something special. So, I didn't realize that until probably my senior year of high school, freshman year of college. But my entire education has been on the foundation of, on supporting society and humanity, and how can I, take my education and take my passions and put channel them into something that I could do something for the greater good. And music was my path. And I was sitting at my study desk in my dorm room at Lafayette one night. It was freezing. It was a winter night. I'm a weirdo that keeps the windows open in the cold, like to get in that you know mentality, that war zone mentality. But I'm sitting there doing my physics work, and I'm like, man, why do I not want to do this problem set? And I wanted to play guitar, so I have a guitar in my lap and my calculator, and my pen, my special eraser I had because it's so important. And I was like, man, it's just like I have to decide almost mentally, like what do I want to do? Because like I'm a great student, right? Like I love. I was still in school, a couple weeks ago for an accounting course. So like I love learning. I love studying. But in that moment, I was like, man, maybe music is what I want to do. And that's when I started down writing. I'd stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning just writing and producing and working on my computer. I didn't know anything. I just had a passion and a drive and that buzzsaw in my stomach to just keep going and learning. And that's when I started going to Nashville and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it comes from my love for country comes from a very young age. And songwriting to me, when I'm writing down, to come back to your question, songwriting is, something that I think I'm actively doing for society. I'm actively, whether it's making them feel sad or happy or whatever, or, yell at Dallas fans, uh, at least for 3 minutes out of your day, I could get you to forget about what's going on in your life and just get you to have a good time. And that's what it's all about for me.
Especially the song "Go Birds" and then, "Ring That Bell" that you release. We'll get to that. Those definitely take your mind off of some things. The "Go Birds" song is, something I actually played a bunch of times yesterday, getting myself in the mood, played it this morning, I'm like,
Thank you.
"Alright, I'm
That's
like
all.
hyped for this." I shared it on social media. I'm like, listen, I just got to share something totally out of the blue because for LinkedIn, that's not something you typically share. But for me, I'll share anything on there. I treat it like, Twitter. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, X, whatever you want to call it. But for me, sharing that song, and I know I'm going to get the Dallas fans or the people that don't like it, and I don't really care because I'm an Eagles fan, but sharing that and getting that into the mood really helps. Talk to me a little bit more about the writing process and some of the stories that are behind your songs.
Well, man, yeah, thanks for asking. Well, Go Birds was a very clear story behind that. I was like, this is exactly how I'm going to write it, and this is what I'm going to say, and Cowboys fans might not like it that much. And
I'm
if
sure you got some feedback on that.
Oh, I did, but there was so much love too. Like there was a lot of Dallas Cowboys, because Texas is a big country music town. And it's a huge market, and so there's a lot of guys, who are Cowboys fans. Like, man, that's respect. Like, cool. Like this is awesome. And there were a lot that were like, that would never happen. That's terrible. But overall, the feedback for the song was through the roof, through the stratosphere. Uh, Easily my most impactful song that I've had, and I just want to have fun and write some songs that mean something. And so to me, Go Bird. So I was actually on a vacation with my mom at the time when I started writing it, and the NFL was starting to come around. It was this time last year, and it took me I knew what I wanted to write, but because I knew it was so, I knew it was so clear. I wanted to make sure it was written perfectly, right? So, like, what word do I say here? Do I say, uh, she said go birds, or do I say and that's why she said go birds, or like little nuances that as a songwriter you have to pay attention to. And it took me 3 months to really hone in and be like, man, I've got it 99% there, but what's one little tweak that I could do? Like one little lyric was uh at the end of the chorus, it's or sorry, the bridge, it's like another underdog winning, taking over the world. But I'm like, wait a second, how could I change that? So in the new version of Go Birds, which I'm about to drop, it's a full band version, stadium version of the song. Uh, I guess that's
Oh,
out.
I gotta learn more about that, but go ahead.
We will. But I changed the lyric a little bit, so you'll hear. So that line is now another underdog winner taking over the world, right? And it's like crazy how, like, instead of winning, instead to winner, like it does a little something. Like its focus is on you now as the guy that you took the girl, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm the underdog winner, right? Instead of another underdog winning, like you don't want to give credit to Dallas for them winning also, you know. So it's little details like that that, you know, as a writer you just think about. And so it took me a while to really craft it, but I was like, all right, I got to wrap this up at some point because the season was starting to tank, right? It was after the 49ers game and the Bills game that it
Yeah.
started going downhill last year, right? So I was like, all right, if I'm going to get a song out, I gotta do it quick. And so I went and put it out in January, teased it in December. I had a video, it went over 1 million views on Instagram. And that got over 25,000 shares. And within 72 hours, it was over 1 million. And I had never. Now, here's the other thing too: is like, you know, I've worked hard, you know, in terms of marketing and in terms of writing and taking care of my voice and the craft and all of it. I work hard. I'm a hardworking person, but you never expect a video to do that, right? Like you see those videos all the time, but you never expect that you're the one that, you know, it happens to. And you know, to me, I don't really think anything of it. But then, you know, when NBC and Fox and ABC are calling and they inquire, they're like, "Hey, we want to do a piece on you." Uh, you're like, all right, cool. But to them, it's like this big thing. And to me, it's like, I don't know, it's like a very humbling thing. It's like, it's just another video on my phone. Right. But it can change your life. It's crazy what social media can do. So, but this song, you know, it is about a Cowboys fan. It's really a love song about a girl and a guy that happens to be Eagles and Cowboys themed. It's really like this girl, she comes to Philly, she comes to the link, she goes to a game, supports the Cowboys, and then she meets this guy in the crowd, and she falls in love with him, and he takes her down the shore, he takes her all around, and she throws on an Eagles jersey, and she loves it. And you know, it's just part of the, you know, some a little beautiful story. The greatest part was people who told me, "Oh my God, that's my husband and I, or my wife and I." You know, who have converted, and so a lot of people resonate with it too. But that's a pretty cool part. But the song itself, you know, inherently it comes down to the writing. If it wasn't set up right, if the story wasn't told correctly, it wouldn't have made sense. And I have another song that I put out called Stone Harbor, which we have family beach vacation home down there, and my whole life I've spent down there in Wildwood, Stone Harbor, Ocean City, and that song is just all the things I love, like, you know, Fish and Pier Grill where I used to work with Sue and Rick, and you know, Springer's Ice Cream in Stone Harbor, and just all the spots that and people I love, like, and that one really did well too. But then I have songs that, you know, I am so proud of, and we'll get into new stuff upcoming. But you know, I'm kind of moving. This Philly has been a huge springboard in terms of career and exposure. You know, we have main stage barefoot this coming year. Main stage. Um, we've got
That's
Cal.
on June 19th, actually, at Wildwood, right?
Yeah, so June, in between June 19th and 22nd. I don't know what date I am yet, but I'll announce it once I know.
Yep.
Uh, but I'm definitely we're there, and we won the Golden Boot Award last summer. That was the fan award. That wasn't me. That was just Eagles fans that did that. And, you know, so this song really, you know, opened up a lot of stuff. I'm so grateful for, and but I've got a lot of new music that, you know, I'm dropping. I'm working on 2 albums worth of songs. So you know, real true, you know, artistry stuff that I'm really proud of. That I think a lot of people are really gonna like.
Well, touching on the Philly song just a little bit more before we touch into some of your other ones. First of all, the
Yeah.
tweet that you did, under another underdog winner, you connected emotionally with the fan, right? The fan is now thinking about, okay, it's not just somebody else, it's me. I won the girl, everything. And I love that you used a cowgirl and an Eagles fan and symbolized Dallas in there, because all Eagles fans were thinking, yes, the one team that we don't like or dislike, or it's very hard, is Dallas, right?
Absolutely. You couldn't have written a song about the Redskins or the Giants
nope.
or the Patriots. You can't do it. It has to be Dallas.
It does. As a rivalry, it definitely does. And some of the things that you touched on for there, obviously, the connection going there to the stadium. If you've ever been to a game, you feel the crowd. The crowd will love you. They will hate you. We are emotionally attached to the game, to the Eagles. We are the diehard fans for it. I got a quick question. Has anybody ever asked you to sing that at their wedding because that is them?
Absolutely. My team has gotten so many cold emails from folks like, "Oh my God, this is our song. We got to sing it. You got to do it." And so we're booking a few right now, actually. But yeah, I've had so many DMs and people like, "Oh my God, that's our song. We got that's our first dance or whatever." So that's pretty cool. I wrote this in my bedroom, right? So for me, like to see something, conceive in your like from your thoughts to that right now it literally becomes you tired at 10 o'clock at night writing a song to this is the song that we're always going to remember at our wedding. Like it's a weird process, right? You don't think that when you're writing, but I also give credit to all the Eagles fans who pushed it. I didn't do it. I just wrote the song and put it out. The song itself, then I really believe the song, if the song is there, it has the energy, it will do its thing, right? It did its thing. It's doing its thing, and we're about to drop another version of Go Birds this year.
Okay, you got to tell you. All right, we've talked about it a little bit. You said there's a stadium version of it. Can we share some information? Can we talk?
Oh yeah, we can talk.
All right. Share. I didn't know if there were certain things that you couldn't talk about because you and I did talk offline. I want you to share it with the audience because I'm hyped up at this as a fan who goes to all the games. I can't wait to see this or hear it.
Oh man, well, the version that I have out now that I first put out was it says Go Birds acoustic, right? And so a lot of people are like, "Why is that?" It's like, well, because it's the acoustic version. So I was under the gun last season uh, when I was getting the song done, and I can turn songs around quick. I mean, I can get a song produced in a week if I need it, from writing to done, mastered. I can do it quick. I have great people, but but I was like, well, I need to get it out now. So my friend Tyra was like, hey, I just want an acoustic track. I don't want to go the full yard yet because the season might be over. Let's save it for the fall. Let's call it an acoustic version and make me a track that is more stripped, a little simple drums, acoustic guitar. And that's what I put out because I'm like, no, I need to do this right and give it the right amount of love. So come the new season. And, I'm so glad I did. So I have an entire version of the song that's fully produced, full band, full production that I'm about to drop in a couple weeks here. And it's banging. It's badass. And man, it's one of those ones. I mean, Go Birds itself, just the song, the acoustic version. I'm like, man, if the acoustic version did what it did, I can't wait to see how Eagles fans are going to react to this full version. And man, I'm so excited for you guys to hear it.
Do we have a date? Do we know when? Can we share? I mean, I feel like I'm sitting on the edge that I need to either A, be at a game or somewhere, be somewhere when it's released. Come
Well,
on.
in a couple weeks, it's coming. So in November, it's coming in November. So be on the lookout. You'll see it. There's no denying that it'll pop up on your social media. But we're about to go do a lot of cool stuff for that, and also the Eagles organization has been, those guys have been so kind, and so grateful, and they all love the song too, and that's really reassuring as an artist because it's like, man, it's like, it's like a cool nod, like, yeah, like we love what you're doing, and those guys, they're so kind, so great over there. So they love the song and want to do stuff with the song, and then barefoot, of course. We've got barefoot next summer, which has been it's just a huge opportunity. I started 2 years ago playing there. This will be my third summer playing in a row. And that's just, I can't wait to sing Go Birds with the band. Just on the main stage, freaking rocking it, just in this jersey, man. Just like, it's just going to be a whole like coming together moment, and and so I guess that'll leeway into our discussion for new stuff, but man, I can't wait for Philly and my hometown and my family and friends to see, like, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the moment for Holt in his career that we've seen him grow and put out Philly songs, but here he really is as a true artist in Nashville doing the thing. And here's a badass Eagles song to throw on top of it. And I can't wait for people to see that and see how hard I've been working, how hard my band works. We've been nonstop. My producer, my band. That everybody wants to win. Everybody works hard, and anybody who works with me knows that we all have to work together. And so next year is going to be a big year, and we'll get into all that.
Holden, not only did you do Go Birds, but obviously the Phillies were in the playoffs. I mean, we won't
Right.
talk about the outcome or anything, but you released Ring That Bell. I mean, first of all, I'd love when that popped up in my feed. I mean, like just the production, the emotion, the passion behind it, and like Ring That Bell. I can't sing, so I won't do you any justice, man.
Hey, it's never too late, man. It's never too
I'll
late.
stick to what I do and leave it to the professionals.
But yeah, that song was so fun. So after I did Go Birds, I was like, well, I gotta. Everybody was like, you gotta do a Philly song because the season was over, and then the Phillies were starting up. So everybody was like, oh, you gotta do a Philly song. I'm like, all right, we'll do it. And I actually broke my toe, my big toe. Uh, a 60-pound dumbbell fell on it at the gym, cracked in half, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And so I was stuck in bed for a month, and I couldn't walk or anything. And anyway, I was like, "Well, I got to do something, so let me get creative." And so I was like, "All right," I did something I never would have. I did a hip hop track as a Phillies hype song, and me and my friend James, producer, we were in the studio. We were just coming up with it, and we wrote it with three other buddies of mine, and it was great. It turned out awesome, and the song definitely got different reception in Philly. It got some feedback, good and bad. But that's a great thing as an artist. It shows that you're you know a, a press point, I guess. It's a great song. I love so much. And actually, last night me and my friends were at a Dustin Lynch concert here in Nashville. He put on a free concert for his 10 number ones. And a buddy in the crowd pointed out this guy, and he's like, oh man, and so anyway, so this guy turns around, he's dancing all night, and he turns around, he's like, go Birds. I'm like, huh? And he's like, dude, I love your songs. I love Ring That Bell. He's like, ring that bell. And this was last night. He was there. He was like, man, I love all your stuff. I've been following you. I just moved to Nashville, and his name's Trey. I met him last night, and so we're gonna hang out. But I was like, whoa, like that's so cool, And so he was one of the few that loved Ring That Bell, but there were a few that didn't like Ring That Bell. But we sent it to the Phillies. We sent it to all of them. They all wished us good luck with the song, and we sent it to their game day, DJs, and they loved it too. It just maybe they'll use it. It's theirs if they want it. If they want to use it, but the Eagles hopped on Go Birds, and so, but man, at the end of the day, like I'm just an artist, so all this is just icing on the cake if it happens. I'm doing what I love, and then everything else is just awesome blessings.
Dude, I loved it. First of all, you got my vote on it right in it. Just hearing that, the music, seeing the video to it, and not just the song itself, like the passion behind it was really cool. Just as you know, so I'm a diehard Eagles fan. I like the Phillies. I love watching them. I usually watch them in the postseason and everything. But just seeing that, and kind of like right at that timing of it, was just a perfect timing for me.
Yeah, man, and I put it out on opening day, so it was there the whole season. I wrote it out till the very end, even the 4 postseason games we even had. Uh, but it definitely, that song also did. I would argue that even though there was a lot of negative criticism, there was, if not equal, even more positive from that song feedback, and that song really propelled me in front of a lot of audience in Philly too. And so I was in a panel the other day with the Country Music Association and Whiskey Jam. Colleague of mine, Ward, runs a artist showcase here in Nashville, and he partnered with CMA to run an artist academy. So me and my friends went the other day, and there were a few people, few managers, few agents who had some panels, and they were saying like, "Man, focus on your town, focus on where you're from, and grow your market where you're from, get your people excited, and then slowly push out, from there." And so I'm like, okay, all right, I guess we're doing it right then. And so it gives me a lot of reassurance that not only is Philly receptive of what I'm doing, but um, you know, Nashville is noticing as well, which is huge. Because at the end of the day, I want to be selling out the link, right? I want to be
Yep.
selling out all these shows. I want to be as big as Kenny Chesney. I want to be as big as Garth. I want to do it. And this era of my music, even though it's Philly sports themed, I think will really uh, be a big stepping stone. Is it already a big stepping stone for the opportunities that are coming my way? We just did a bunch of stuff for a huge company in Philly. We did. I can't say yet, but we're doing a lot of stuff. A lot of cool stuff is coming my way, and but that's because of you guys for streaming the song and doing it. I'm just the one that gets up there and sings it, but it's all your songs, and I do it for you guys, and I'm excited. But yeah, ring that bell was a fun one, man. That was good. But I'm gonna bring Go Birds back to life again.
I can't wait for that. But not only on top of Go Birds, ring that bell. You talked about Stone Harbor, but what about Kick It Up?
Yeah, totally. So apart from all my Philly songs,
I
or
know we've been talking Phillies, obviously huge passion. That's why I reached out to you. But
no,
you are
totally,
a country music artist, songwriter. Like there's more to you than that, but this is a huge part of you.
totally, and this is why I'm so excited for Barefoot next summer because, um, you know, to win that award first off was a huge blessing, but to get the opportunity to say, "Hey, look, guys, like in front of your hometown crowd, like look where you got me, and look at all the exciting things that we're about to do together." So I have 13 songs that are out right now. They're all um, they're all country songs except "Ring That Bell." I'm a country artist at heart. That was just a side quest, uh, but for me, it all started. Actually, I put out 2 covers. I put out a Ronnie Millsap cover of "Smoky Mountain Rain," love Ronnie, and I put out a Luke Combs cover, "She Got the Best of Me," and that was when I was at Lafayette. I did that, and then once I moved to Nashville, I started putting out my own music, writing my own songs. I met a great friend of mine, Jason Matthews, is a songwriter here. He was one of the first songwriters Luke Bryan ever met, and we write a bunch. And Luke's written a bunch. He wrote Jason wrote "Must Be Doing Something Right," "Countryman," and so many songs. "Lonely Eyes" for Chris Young. And anyway, he's been a great help with all my stuff, and really awesome to write with and learn from. And when I first moved here, or before I moved here, I was writing with him, and we ended up writing my first single, which was "Like You Do," which is like it's a love song, um, and it was my first little love song, and that thing did really well for it being my first song ever. Was like, all right, so let's keep going. So I put out a song called "It's All Love" that Jason did. I put out a few more that I was passionate about, but I was still figuring out my sound. Like I didn't really know. who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to say. I didn't know what I sounded like even. So, if you go back and listen to all those songs, including Kick It Up, I was kind of starting to figure it out, more of a rock edge. Um, it's so funny because I'm like, okay, like every release was me testing, like, okay, is this too soft for me and my brand? Is this too rock and roll for my brand? Is this right? And what ended up, and then when I wrote Go Birds, it was like, oh, that's that felt right, and so it took 13, 12 songs to get to the 13th. But it, for me, I know now, and I'm sure I'll keep evolving, but I know I have much clarity on who I am, what I want to sound like, and the songs that I'm about to drop are very much like Kick It Up. That was a fun one. We shot that music video. That was it. Springwater Tavern, Springwater Bar. It's the oldest running bar in Tennessee. It's right here down the street. It's great. It's a dive bar. It's the most dive bar you've ever seen. But it was awesome, and those people were great over there. We shot a whole music video. We had friends as actors and real actors come in, and it was awesome. Uh, but that's just one of many. And I just wrote a song called Through It All about my parents. My parents get along, but they got a divorce about 10 years ago. That they're friends now, and but I know that's not the case for a lot of people. And so the song, my friend Michael and Evan and Scott and I, we wrote a song about how even though they fell out of love with each other, they still loved me as a kid, right, and did their job as parents. And so you always hear songs from the parents' perspective, fighting back and forth, Jesus take the wheel and all that. But you never hear the kids' side of it. And so that was I'm starting to write stuff that really, means a lot to me and to my family. And that's what it's all about. And I've got another one I'm doing that Luke Bryan wrote with my friend Jason. That's going to go on the new record. And then I've got another one that I wrote with my friend Michael. It's a beach song, and so we're putting together a huge palette of songs and material that I'm just so proud of, and I haven't really done that yet. It's been figuring it out till now, and then Go Birds was even kind of figuring it out, but now, I mean, next year I plan to have. I mean, it's already scheduled 30, almost 30 songs released. As a new Holdyn. Here's the fresh Holdyn. Here's his hometown stuff. Here's what he did, but here's where he's going. And here are all the songs that are going to take him there. And it's all the fans that are going to do that. And I'm just, man, I know I ramble a lot, I talk a lot, but it's really going to be a big year.
Oh, that's okay. You can talk all you like because a lot of the stuff you're saying is you're connecting with the audience, your hometown. You're figuring yourself out, what you like to do, and what they like to hear. Before you were talking about how you covered a song for like Luke Holmes. What is the process? I'm really curious. When I see another band cover somebody else's song, what is the process? Can you actually just like cover their song, like play their song, or do you have to go through permissions and hey, can I record this or can I play this song or
For sure. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. So, for example, if you're performing the song, you have to make sure you go back to your performing rights organization and tell them, hey. So every PRO. So I guess the way you have to go back to music royalties. There's two copyrights in music. There's the sound recording, and then which is also referred to as the master, and then there is the composition. So I guess we're going music business 101 here. So
yeah, yeah,
composition.
I want to learn about it. I'm so curious how it works.
So the composition. So let's say we wrote Go Birds, right? We'll use that as a great example. So Go Birds, let's say you and I wrote it, right? 50-50, we split it. Uh, that's for composition as a songwriter, as songwriters, right? So anytime that song is performed, um, used, streamed, or sold. So anytime that song is placed in a sync placement, which is like a video game or a movie, anytime it's fixed in audio visual work, performed or sold, we get income for that as a songwriter, and there's a specific sort of income for that. Apart from that, there's the master. So there's the actual recording of the song. So, for example, if you have Happy Birthday, which is actually in the public domain, you can't copyright that song anymore. But let's say it was still owned by somebody. Um, if we wrote Happy Birthday, how many Happy Birthday versions are out there, right? Like, so they all own their version of Happy Birthday, but we wrote it. So we get a little piece of everybody's master for our composition copyright. So they own their master recording. We own our composition. Now, most often in Nashville, you'll find that artists who are independent are writing, and also, the master owner, because they don't have a recording contract. But so that's how that works. So whenever the song is performed or played, the way it works is, so there's different types of royalties, right? There's performance royalties, there's mechanical royalties, which are when the song is sold, and so whenever a song so there's the publishing side and the recording side, right? The copyright and the master. So whenever a song is performed, um, so let's say I sing "Go Birds" at Barefoot, right? Or let's say I sing "Wagon Wheel," for example. Uh,
Yep.
well, and it's not my song. Well, so when I'm performing that, I have to go to my performing rights organization who distributes. There's four in the United States, but they distribute the royalties to the songwriters for it being performed. And so I have to tell them, hey, I sang Wagon Wheel. There's like a little quick form you fill out online of your set list. I sang Wagon Wheel, and then they'll pay it out. And they ask you, where did you play it? How many people were there? Where? Um, how long did you play? And then they'll do their due diligence. They'll pay out the writers and the publishers, and then all is well and good. Now, that's if you're performing it. You always should do that. You have to do that. But if you're putting it out, you have to get what's called a mechanical license, compulsory license, which basically means that, and it's all automated now. Everything's digital. So you go to the publisher and you say, "Hey, I want to cut this song." You go to the publisher who owns the song or represents the writers who wrote it. And you say, "Hey, um, you know, this is a song I want to cut." And there's a law in the United States that says once a song is cut, anybody can cover it. So, for example, there's a right of first refusal. So, like, let's say we write a song, and we think it's a hit song, um, and we want to pitch it to, let's say, Jason Aldean. Right now, we have a right to pick Jason Aldean. Well, let's say the smaller artist comes by and is like, "I love that." Now we have to make that judgment as writers and say, okay, well, do we give it to Aldean or do we give it to this guy? We're probably going to give it to Aldean, right? But you never know. But so there's a right of first refusal to give it to whoever, and then once they have it and put it out and commercially release it, then anybody else can cover that song. So in order to put a version of that out, all you have to do is hit up the publishers who own the copyright, the composition copyright, and then they will give you a license, and then you just have to renew it every time it hits a certain amount of streams or whatever. And it's really simple. But this is the stuff that people sometimes don't get exposed to, that it's really simple. It's just the composition and the sound recording, and then the labels own the master, right? And so actually, so whenever the song is so there's three royalties songwriters make and publishers. There's performance royalties, mechanical royalties, and sync placement, so like movies, video games, things like that. So mechanical royalties are when the song's sold, and performance royalties when it's performed. So let's say Taylor Swift goes out and sings you know her favorite cover song. Well, whoever wrote that cover song is doing pretty well. you know. So, but you think of it like Hallelujah, Jeff Buckley, or Wagon Wheel, even, or current one, Fast Car. Luke Combs and Tracy Chapman. I mean, Tracy must be loving it. I think there's a stat that said that because Luke Combs put out a version of Fast Car, it like
Yep.
blew every stat last year. I think it's making more revenue now than it did when it was out with Tracy, and at the time when it was hot, and now it's still hot. It's still a great song, right? So, but Tracy wrote that, and so it just shows you good song does great things. But yeah, that's a little bit about how it works. And so if you want to cover a song, if you want to put it out on DSPs like Spotify, Apple Music, etc., you have to get a license for it. And if you want to perform it, you just have to tell people, "Hey, I perform this."
So you
Pay.
can do it after the fact. So if you're out there performing it, right? You performed it on stage. You're like, oh, we wanted to do Wagon Wheel right now. We did it. We can go then on to the online and then fill out the form, and then they would dish out their royalties after.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's actually a pretty good process. First of all, I didn't know any of that. I was just curious. I'm like, wait, how can they
Sometimes,
cover that? Did they get permission from every single person to
yeah, and
cover?
sometimes I'm not well versed on when it comes to larger scale. There might be different. That's what I do because I've been playing bars and clubs. But I know it gets a little trickier and more advanced when you get to arenas, amphitheater, stadiums. They might have to advance the amount of times they may have to say every night we're playing this song for these many months. It might be a little more tricky because there's more revenue involved. And I think that's the tour manager's job to handle that. But I think that the process is the same. There just might be more hands on deck to make sure everybody gets paid.
Yeah, definitely. Holden, talk to me a little bit more about your journey from Philly to Nashville. Like, when was the time that you said, I got to move here? I know you said you went a bunch of times and you're like, yeah, this is the place, but when did it click? I mean, obviously, we all know why Nashville, right? Country music. You got to be in the heartland of it all. And it seems to be turning out pretty well for you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I guess I have to go back to how it all began. My whole so I've always loved music, right? And so it was 2013. It was spring. I was playing tennis with my buddy Thomas, and I was a big tennis player. I love tennis. I played at Lafayette. I did USTA tournaments. All that. I love it. I got to get back into it. But I was playing a match, and next to my tennis bag, and it wasn't there when I put it down because I would clearly have seen it, was a blue guitar shaped paperclip. And it was like, how they change the shape of paperclip? So it was a blue guitar, and it was right next to my bag, and I took it as a sign, like, and I was thinking about starting music around then. This was like my eighth grade year of junior high, middle school, and right before I was going into high school, and I was like, oh, maybe I should start playing. And I took that as a sign. My mom still has it. She won't let me bring it here. She's keeping it. That's her thing. She's like, nope, I'm keeping this paperclip, at home, and so she won't let me bring it down to Nashville. But that's really where it all kind of clicked in my brain. But fast forward to Nashville, I didn't know what to do with that. That's when I started getting into guitar and learning on YouTube. But it wasn't really until I came down here for our songwriting session my spring of my freshman year. So 2018, March 2018, I was here. I was writing with Jason Matthews, who I mentioned, and Mikey Mobley, a good friend of Jason's, and we were writing that song like you do, my first single, and it was in the writing session for that, and we're in Jason's old studio on Melrose, and it was like 7 o'clock at night. We started at like 2 or 1 after lunch, and Jason was getting tired, and I was like, "Man, can you come back tomorrow to finish it?" We were ready to. We were all checked out. Our brains were just fried, and uh, and I'm like, "Well, dang, I'm actually heading home for school." I had to go back to Lafayette, and I couldn't finish the song, and that was frustrating. That was really frustrating because I was like, "Wow, I need to be here to do this, right? Here I am writing with two hit songwriters, and because I'm in school, which is great, or because I'm in Lafayette specifically, or in Pennsylvania, I can't be here to, do this opportunity." And that's when it really clicked because I was like really excited to do it. And I was like, ah. And so they were nice enough to plow through, and we finished it that night. And that's what pro writers do. We just crank and do it. But that was like one of the big moments for me. I was like, man, I really need to be here, especially, when you're here, so much happens, right? You run into so many people. Like last night, I met a dude, Trey, who he was like, "Man, I love Ring That Bell." Like you never know. But like so many opportunities happen here. You need to be present to win. I really believe that. A lot of people. It all depends on your goals, right? So like if you want to, I have a great friend. He does cover gigs up in Philly, um, and I told him, I said, it depends on your goal, right? So many people are happy doing cover gigs their entire life. They make great income doing it. They love it. That's their thing. They love it. And that's great. That's a win. That's success, right? But then there's other guys like myself that also want to play stadiums, that want to sign record deals and get on the radio and have number ones and do the thing and get in the machine and put on a show like Garth, right? And then there's that too. So if you want that, you got to be in Nashville. It's just um, like lawyers in Harvard Law School. You gotta go to a reputable place. You gotta be in the mix of it, right? If you want to work in politics, you gotta go to Washington D.C. If you want to go to, I don't know, uh, what's another one? Football. You gotta go through the SEC. You gotta go through the NCAA program, right? So there's just things you have to do because one, you love it, but two, you just have to pay your dues and do it. And you know, this is where you need to be. This is where I felt I needed to be, and I'm here. And I don't plan on going anywhere. I plan on staying here and growing as big as I can get. And one day maybe I'll get a beach house, back in Stone Harbor, in Florida or elsewhere. But for now it's work time, and it didn't really occur to me so recently, I moved here 5 years ago. So right after that spring when I wrote that song and was real out of it, I was like, "God, I really need to be here." It clicked in my brain. Uh, that fall was when I moved, and it was so clear to me. Um, or sorry, that was the next year. I ended up moving shortly after that, and you know, it didn't really hit me until recently. Like, what am I doing? It's 5 years. I've been here. What have I been doing? And I've been doing everything right. Everybody tells me you're good. You're doing all the right things. But to me, I'm like, no. This is 1% of what I'm capable of. And that's just a hard standard I keep on myself. And so I'm like, let's just grind. Let's just post. Let's meet fans. Let's write songs. Let's do it. And that didn't really hit me until recently. And we're 5 years into Nashville. They say it's a 10-year town, so we're halfway there. And it really does take 10 years to integrate, to meet people, to connect, to grow, to figure out your sound. Most of that journey is figuring out you, right? Like it took me 5 years to come up with a sound to then take to a live show. It took me hundreds of shows in Jersey and Philly to understand. Okay, what's my sound? What's my voice? Where do I live? Where does my voice live? Where does you know how do my songs resonate? What do I want to say? Right? And artistry is such a complex thing that you are it or you're not it, and you just know it's a deep knowing. And so it I always knew once I came here, I always knew I had to be here. And my good friend Tom Kozik, he taught me guitar at Lafayette. He was a great guy. He was Eddie Rabbit's lead guitarist for a few years in the 80s. And he told me, he's like, Holden, you need to move to Nashville and get out of Lafayette and go to Belmont. He's the one who told me about Belmont. And we wrote the other night. We write all the time still on Zoom. And but it's funny because he was the only one that at Lafayette that really understood country music, who had experience in it. And I was the only student he said that he met in his all his years teaching that really wanted to go to Nashville and do it, and from up there. And yeah, that's how rare it is in Philly. But and I thought about this too. If I could get this many people in Philly excited about country music, I can't wait to go to like Georgia or like Texas or somewhere where like it's socially acceptable and put on a show there. Because if I can do that in Philly, in the hardest country music market, then shit, put me in front of Alabama at a Bama game, at a tailgate. I'll get the party going. We'll get the party going. And so that's kind of been my philosophy. And but man, I'm just so proud of where I've come from, and it's a testament to the fans too. I love my fans. I love, it's really about that, the music and fans for me. And that's the best part about it. So sorry to
Well, then
ramble.
so much you said resonates with me is grinding it out, right? People don't see the years behind all the hard work that you're doing and putting yourself in the right place. Like for you going to Nashville and putting yourself within all the other artists and really kind of connecting with them and ingraining with them, asking questions, learning more about yourself. And I feel the same way with me where I can't get as much done remotely, where I have to be at events, I have to be at these and connect one on one with them, learn more. And so much of it is being in the right place at the right time. And the only way to do that is to put yourself in that place and constantly do that. You can put yourself in that place 100 times, and it only takes that one time for it to connect and for everybody to realize your talents and what you're doing.
That's right. Yeah, it takes 7 years to be an overnight success. It,
Yes,
it,
yes.
it, that's the phrase around here, and it's very true. You look at Luke Combs, right? Great art. I love him. He's one of my favorites all time. And he when he first came to Nashville, he got turned down a lot. He no one they're like, you're not a singer. You know you you're just a writer. You're not. We don't see this doing anything. And that lit a fire in his ass, and he went back to North Carolina, sold out shows, and he met his manager Cappy, who he didn't take a penny from him until he signed his record deal, and said, "Man, I believe in you so much. Let's just do this." And they lived in a van together. Um, it really inspires you. Like my friend Scott, he's from Canada. He wrote "Kick It Up" with me actually, but he just moved here yesterday for full time. Just got his work visa approved for music to move here and to do music in Nashville. So we threw him a surprise, welcome home to the U.S. party. And but he made that choice to jump, right, and you have to do that. And I think this whole journey. It's like you have to live and breathe it, right? It's like either if it was the normal, ordinary person doing this, they would back out instantly because it's not you know
It's
it's
not
not
for everyone.
it's not stable.
Yep.
It's emotionally driven. It's very there's a lot of effort involved. You have to be a marketing agent. You have to be a label. You have to be a songwriter, an artist, a performer. You have to be your own PR guy. You got to go and run your own ads. You got to manage yourself. I mean, there's a lot. You have to be a road manager with your band. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of people they just see the top of the iceberg, but there's so much below that goes into a go birds, right? Like I'm up till 3 a.m. talking to fans, like, hey, stream it, share it, get it going. Hit up this guy at this news station, do this, do that, and get to know those people, right? And it's like it's just that buzz saw to just keep going, and you have to have that. And the songs that I'm working on now, like I look up to like Kenny Chesney and Luke Bryan and Luke Combs, all of them, and you know the live show is really where I shine. That's my passion, and for country music, that's what it's all about. And so for me, like I'm just so man, I don't know if you could tell. I'm like so excited thinking about it. Like next year, like all these things. Like I just can't wait for Nashville to see how this and Philly to see how this transforms, right? And but I see it in my mind, and I'm just impatient. But that's a good thing.
Holden, what does the future look like for you? What are some of the upcoming work that you have happening that's going to be released? What does 2025 look like?
Well, we've got that Philly stuff we're about to roll out again. I know
I
I'm
can't
excited.
wait, man. I'm hyped up and I haven't even heard it. I've heard the original acoustic. I can't wait to hear this one.
Oh,
So
thank you. I'm very excited, and the so that'll be my kind of thank you to the Philly fans for everything you did, and this coming year 2025 is going to be it's going to be a big year in terms of music, self identity, understanding, what I want to say, how I sound, even what am I doing on stage, even the mechanics of stepping here, stepping there, building the live show out. Just it's so clear to me now. And it took 5 years to do that, right? And that's just artist development. Artist development is a process, right? And very few labels, invest in artist development anymore. The traditional model was let's sign a guy we believe in. Sounds great, and we'll develop him. Well, that takes a lot of time and money, and a lot of labels don't need to do that anymore. They can just go on TikTok and find people, sign them and throw them in their system, right? And so, a lot of the legwork, in modern time, it falls on the artist, right? And so, yeah, that's just the game. It's a lottery system. It's a numbers game. So we just have to go in there and say, okay, look, what can I control? I can control my look. I can control, which I'm hitting the gym. I can control my songwriting. I can control the quality of the output I do. I can control my quality of my relationships with my fans and my family and friends and media. And as long as you control and do the right things, then you know that it wasn't on you that something didn't happen, right? It's just not the right time yet, and being there at the right time, right? And if you do all the right things right, you should achieve the goal, right? It's like very much, I'm very much a goal setter. So, like, all the things I have in store for next year, it's really simple when it comes down to it. But, I want to be dropping 30 songs next year. That's, if you count the weeks in the year, what, 52, 56 weeks. That's, I mean, that's like almost one every other week. I mean, that's a lot of music, but that's the caliber that, Morgan Wallen and Ernest and Hardy, all these dudes are putting out, right? And Bailey Zimmerman, great example. Um, People, it's so funny, like, people's attention spans are so short nowadays. So, like, you'll put out an album, and the logic behind it is like you could do a lot of singles, right? And if you put out an album, once you put it out, 3 weeks later, everyone's kind of already over it. They're like, "Oh, we heard them.
Yep.
What's more? Where's the next stuff?" So if you keep the attention span going every couple weeks with new songs, new material, and then drop an album when you have enough for an album, but you got to keep it going, right?
Yep.
And it's all about algorithms nowadays, and it's so crazy to me. Like, I just want to sit down and listen to Merle Haggard and Randy Travis and just be like, where's that? But nowadays it's, you have to play the system in the game, and I think I've been doing it well. And the fact that I've been able to achieve all this for all the great things we've done with only 2 songs this year has been, I mean, all this is just go bird, and I'm reinventing it. It's
Two
like,
songs to 30 songs. That is definitely going to take you a lot of work and hard grind to get that done, but I think you're going to do it and release it next year. I
and
can't
they're
wait.
all, thank you, and they're all almost done. The songs are
Ah,
done. Just a matter of, scheduling them and
and
planning.
promoting them, PR, doing all the, the lives,
That's where the
everything behind it.
that's where the legwork comes in. But the idea and the inception, started already, and it's there. And but it's if I could do this off 2 songs, I can't wait to see what I do with 15 times that. It's gonna be a big year ahead. I'm so proud of the stuff we're doing, and it's also a testament to my writer friends. My best friends here in Nashville who are songwriters. We're friends first, and um, my friend Michael and Scott, and we just get each other, and they're great, right? They're huge. They're going to be huge, and like, I just can't wait to see our group win. And but it's really a special thing because we all moved here to do music, right? And it all our times are coming very soon, and you can kind of feel the buzz, and when you get that, it just makes you want to work harder. A lot of artists think, once I get that, and this will never be me, but they get that opportunity with the label. A lot of label uh, folks have told me, when we sign our artists, we actually, they think the opposite. Oh, I don't have to work as hard. I did it. It's like, no, you worked hard to only work harder. Right
Yep.
now, we're going to put you in front of Jimmy Fallon. Now we're going to put you in front of Spotlight and press to get your song out there and all these playlists and everything. We're going to push you on this tour. We're going to do all these cool things with the expectation that you're going to work, right?
Yep.
And so you only work hard to work harder, and I think that's a very good thing as an artist, to be busy, right? You should be busy every day with stuff. Um, but that's just the mentality I've always had, and going into this year, I'm just so excited. At the end of the day, I'm just a kid, Eagles fans putting out an Eagles fan putting out a song, and I'll always be that, and a fan of country music. I'll always be a fan at heart, myself. But to be a fan, you learn a lot about how would I want my favorite artist, to talk to me? How would I want my favorite artist to sing and sound and look and feel? And that all goes into it, man. But it's gonna be a really awesome year next year. I can't wait. And this year too. Just for the rest of this year is gonna be great. But even more so, I'm just excited, man, because I've been doing all the right things. I feel like, and the bubble's gonna break at some point.
I think you're definitely on to it. The bubble's definitely, you're right at that cusp. So here's the thing, like you could feel it. It's almost there. And every day you think about it, every day you push yourself one more day, and I'm going to hit that only to work harder. By the way, I'm going to have to quote you on that. So you only worked hard to work harder. That's like grinding it out.
That's
Holden,
right.
I'm going to wrap things up in 1 second. And what I want to ask you, this is a tough question here for you, is what Eagles game you going to be at next?
Man, well, so I was going to go to the Bengals game because it's actually only a 4 hour drive from Nashville, um, which I was like, oh, but I didn't go. I should have went because that was a great game. That
Yes,
was
it was. They finally 2 games in a row, looking good, clicking defense.
three in a row.
Well, 3 in a row for that, but
Right.
you had the bye week in there, then you had the two that were really clicking. I mean, the Giants,
So good.
we seem to be a run first game team now, which is great.
Okay.
And then Hurts, just his throws on. But anyway, yes,
But yeah, I definitely need to go to the Dallas game. Yeah, I know they're playing Dallas next week. I think in Dallas.
yep.
Um, so maybe I'll go down
Maybe
there.
we
I
have
don't.
to play that song. You have to.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I want to go to as many as possible. It's I'm here in Nashville working on these records, and next year is going to be so big. So, um, it's hard for me to bounce right now back and forth. But I did it so much this summer. I gained like 50,000 frequent flyer miles. Like it was crazy. Uh, but yeah, I would love to go to the Dallas game at home, and then what's the other game? I think they're playing the Steelers. I have a buddy from Pittsburgh too.
Yeah,
Uh,
they got the Steelers on the thing. Yeah, I definitely have a
That'd be a
list here, by
cool
the way.
Pennsylvania
The
battle.
15th.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. So maybe I'll go to that too. My friend's from Pittsburgh, so he's like, dude, we gotta go to the game. So that'd be awesome. And I'm always out there at the tailgates, So if you're ever down there, let me know if we're there at the same time.
I'm a season ticket holder, man. I am down all the time. We're going actually down this Sunday for the Jags game. They flexed it to 4, which is great. And instead of
Awesome.
we had all primetime games, which really sucks to go down and get home by like 2 in the morning. Uh,
That's true.
I'll have
Yeah.
to go to you. Let me know which one you're going to be at. I'm usually tailgating over at the Citizen Bank Park, but I'll meet you at any lot just to meet up with you in person.
I'm usually at C6 with those guys over there. But yeah, that'd be great. I'll just shoot you a message.
So you're in the club section, C6,
No, the
or the
tailgate
oh, the
C6.
tailgate? Because I was ready to say I'm in C4 in the club section. So
Okay. So yeah, so the way the tickets work in my situation is the song is done so great. I've been blessed in terms of being able to go to games and stuff, and every game it's different. Like we used to have season tickets when I was little. We were in 242, 142. I think we talked about that. You were
yeah,
right there. But but yeah, now the Eagles have been kind enough. If I hit them up, they're happy to send me to a game. They've sent me to the preseason game, the Vikings game, and then they sent me to actually the Falcons game, which which that wasn't a fun one, but it ended up being great. And they're just so kind over there. So I would love to, go back, and I hope I get to go back as well. But yeah, so wherever I sit, I'm walking around anyway, talking to people and having fun. So, tickets. It actually might as well get the cheapest ticket because if you're walking around, it's like at least you get in. But my friend Jamie, the Philly sports guy, I shadowed him. 4 weeks ago for the Phillies game, and he was like, "Hey, all right, you're gonna be my shadow today," and he just walks around the stadium
yep.
all game long and just talks to people and takes pictures. Yeah, it's genius. He's awesome, and that's his full time profession is to be a professional Philly sports fan. But he's a great guy, and yeah, he's been a big help with a lot of stuff too, and getting my stuff out there. But he works his butt off, and I
Yes,
look
he
up
does. He's
to
been
him.
everywhere, man.
Brazil, that I
Yep.
mean, Brazil, that really did a lot for him. And but I look up to guys like that. I look up to, Philly itself. It's so funny. And this is the last point I'll leave you with. Uh, you know, People always say, "Oh, here's a guy from Philly writing country songs," right? And it's like, I kind of think they're better than the ones in Dallas, but okay. But the other thing is, I just find it ironic that there's a guy from Philly writing a Cowboys song, not from from Dallas, uh, but also a country song. But also, people are like, Philly, it's not really a country music market, which traditionally it isn't geographically. But you look at Barefoot, you look at the old Tidal Wave Festival, it was an AC, right? Like every time there's an artist in Philly, sold out, or in the area, sold out, right? Jersey, Philly, wherever you want to call it, Philly, sold out. And um, there's a huge market for that. And that's something that, people don't really realize is Philly actually is where the country began. So I
Yep.
think people, need to realize that there's probably nothing more country
Country then and there.
than Philly and Independence Hall. But so that's a cool little thing I like to tell Dallas fans. But no, I've got great fans in Texas. I want to get down there. I have a lot of fans down there. That actually, there's a lot of Eagles fans down there too that love it. They're like, you got to come to our bar, and hang out with us. There's people here in Nashville too. They're like, we got an Eagles bar. I'm like, how have I not heard of this? So I gotta go hang out sometime. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a big year. But this song is really, what I love. It's probably my favorite song I've done. It's so cool, man.
Well, that's how we got connected. Seeing you on Instagram, seeing the Go Birds, the passion behind it. I'm like, man, I gotta follow this guy. And then I'm seeing all the other stuff pop up. First of all, Alden, I gotta thank you for agreeing to do this.
Oh, thank you. This
I
is
feel it's like an honor to interview you. I'm like, this guy singing
dude.
Go Birds, all this.
I'm just a guy with the phone, man. It's just like, to me, like that's the weird thing to me. Like it's like I'm just a an Eagles fan is just living his life here in Nashville, and I'm working hard to do it. But it's like, I never think of myself as like an artist, or like someone who's doing something. So it's always cool and humbling to hear that. So thank you. And but it's like a weird phenomenon, I guess. I don't know, because I don't see myself as anybody special. I'm just a guy, but we're gonna do a lot of good stuff though. So.
You got to keep that mentality, that humble mentality, that naturalness, because what happens in some cases, people get really big and they forget where they came from. And here, if you keep that, that's where you connect with the audience, and that's where everybody has a passion for your stuff, and they're like, "Oh my god, this guy's so humble. He's awesome to talk to, awesome to work with."
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, John. Yeah, it's that's just me naturally too. I'm just a chill guy. I'd rather just chill at the beach, honestly. If I could, I'd be down in Wildwood right now, living it up, at Morris Pier, but yeah, I appreciate you having me on here and having me share my story and music and get ready. It's gonna be a big ride ahead.
Holden, definitely. Well, Holden, I've only got two words to say really to wrap this up. Go Birds, man.
Go Birds! Oh yeah.
Well, Holden, thank you so much.
You as well, man. Thank you.
All right, everybody. This has been the Jon Myer Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notify, because guess what? We're out of here.